During the late 1960s, British Rail's senior management were becoming increasingly aware of serious competition from two direct sources. First, from the ever-expanding road system. Secondly, from the domestic aircraft operators. Dramatic improvements would be needed if they were to stand any chance of holding on to their market share. Electrification on the London Midland region and its resultant 100-mile-an-hour services had led to an increase in passenger traffic on these routes. As full-scale electrification throughout the BR network was not feasible, it was decided that a new high-speed diesel train would be needed. Initially, a prototype train was built, designated Class 252. The unit was made up of 2 power cars, 2 first class, 3 second class, and 2 catering vehicles. Testing began on the northern half of the East Coast Main Line during 1971, and 120,000 miles of exhaustive tests were undertaken. This was the first occasion that the unit ventured south, and is seen here at Hitchin. June the 12th, 1973, saw a world speed record of 143.2 miles per hour. The prototype took part in the Stockton and Darlington 150th anniversary celebrations. Construction of the production series began in 1975 and was carried out at Crewe and Derby. A few small problems encountered with the prototype were ironed out at this stage. The power cars were built at Crewe and had to be able to achieve a sustained 125 miles per hour. Many components were subcontracted out, and it was vital that these arrived on time to ensure that the tight building schedule was maintained. These are flexible links, which are fitted between gearbox and motor to absorb vertical movements at the axle. The cabs are made from fiberglass and are reinforced, giving the driver vital extra protection. At this time, 1 power car was being completed every week. We'll now take a more detailed look at the construction. Construction is based on a modular basis to enable quick replacement. Each power car has a radiator module, a power unit, an electrical module, and a cab. The engine has a single crankshaft and is coupled to the main rotor of the alternator. The diameter of the crank pins and journals are increased, and the use of disc crank webs provide a shorter, stiffer crankshaft. The connecting rod assembly is strengthened, and the pistons have a simpler ring layout to give longer life and lower oil consumption. To prevent gas blow-by, the cylinder heads are clamped down onto the copper-plated steel sealing V of the engine, and this forms an ideal mounting for the turbocharger. Exhaust gases pass from the cylinder outlet to the turbine inlets through the exhaust manifold. Water cooling improves reliability and minimizes any fire hazard. The prototype's engine had one block-type fuel pump for each bank of cylinders, the 6 injector pipes being of different shapes. The higher power of the production engine called for a higher fueling rate, and this was achieved by the use of individual and identical pumps for each cylinder. The new pump and injectors were tested for 10,000 hours before being accepted as satisfactory. The engine had to be compact and light enough to fit into the limited space, and such compactness can lead to maintenance problems. But ingenious design achieved a neat balance between all the factors involved. The result of all the development work is the Valenta V12 engine, delivering 2,250 horsepower. The cooling units work as follows. The engine-mounted pump circulates the coolant through the primary circuit to the engine. It returns through a thermostation bypass before passing to the 2 upper radiators. At this time, a pump driven from the gearbox passes the coolant through the second circuit to the turbocharged cooler, the oil cooler, and back to the lower radiators. The main unit cools the cylinders, the water jacket around the engine, and the exhaust manifold. The cooler for the turbocharger air is fitted to the engine, as is the oil cooler. A large variable speed fan powered by the main engine draws air over the 4 aluminium radiators connected to the 2 cooling circuits. All 4 radiators are identical in design and are interchangeable. To provide the largest cooling surface, alternate layers of corrugated and flat plates are built like a sandwich into a block. Air passes along one set of corrugations and coolant along the next. When traveling at high speeds, good brakes are essential. Brake demand is carried by coded impulses along 3 wires which run the length of the train. Brakes are applied from both ends of the train simultaneously. The brakes are of the disc type and are pneumatically controlled. 2 alternators are required and are powered by the main engine. These provide all the electricity needed for the train, including heating, lighting, and powering the traction motors. The main advantages of an alternator over a generator are that they don't have brushes, and therefore there's no electrical contact. The link is magnetic, thus mechanical wear and tear is avoided and maintenance is reduced accordingly. The stator assembly carries a stator for each alternator and the exciters. The stator windings are of copper strip insulated with braided glass and polyester enamel. At the Derby Carriage Works, the body side framing, roof and end framing for the new Mark III coaches are formed on separate jigs and welded together. The skin panels are then welded onto the frames before all the sections come together to form the coach. In a nearby workshop, the coach interiors are fitted out. The first order for 27 sets resulted in 189 coaches being built. also branded with the legend Intercity 125. A new era for rail travel had begun. Once completed, the first sets were transferred to the Western region to commence driver training. Numerous test runs were also carried out. The latest high-tech performance recording equipment was carried. Introduction into revenue-earning service was on the 4th of October 1970. The full service was implemented a year later, on the 3rd of October 1977. All 27 of although the restaurant was soon replaced with an additional second-class coach due to increased passenger demand. As well as speed, the travelling public also want comfort. So the new Mark III coaches were designed to give as smooth a ride as possible. Each train has a well-stocked buffet car, supplying hot and cold food, as well as drinks, including spirits and beers. Automatic sliding doors make it easy to walk back to your seat with your hands full. A trolley buffet service was also introduced, offering a range of hot drinks and snacks at your seat. Full dining was also available in the restaurant car with full waiter service. First-class coaches give extra space, having only 48 seats as opposed to 72 in the second-class coaches. May 1978 saw the introduction of the 125 on the London to Edinburgh route. 32 new sets were built for these services and were designated Class 254. These units had 8 coaches as opposed to 7 on the Western region sets. The formation was identical to the Western region sets, but with an extra second-class coach. Today, this scene has been completely transformed by the arrival of the overhead electric wires and the new Class 91s. The best journey time from London to Edinburgh was by the Flying Scotsman service, which reduced the time by 47 minutes, from 5.5 hours to 4 hours 43 minutes. It was on this stretch of line north of York that the prototype set its world speed record. The full Edinburgh service was introduced on the 20th of August 1979, relegating the legendary Deltics to the semi-fast services. As more units were completed, 125s replaced the Deltics on these services, and by the beginning of 1982, trains from London to Aberdeen, Leeds, Hull, York, Middlesbrough and Glasgow were all covered by 125s. By the end of 1982, the 95th and final set had been completed. Crewe and Derby had built 197 power cars and 709 coaches since 1975 to complete the fleet. The 125s were now ready to enter full revenue-earning service. At the end of 1982, the 125s worked the following routes: London, Bristol, Cardiff, introduced in 1976. London, York, Edinburgh, introduced in 1978, with extensions to Aberdeen and Glasgow following in 1979 and 1981 respectively. Services to Plymouth and Penzance were introduced in 1979. Cross-country trains followed in late 81, and the St Pancras to Nottingham services in late 1982. When built, all the units were outshot in the standard blue livery. However, changes were afoot, and in September 1983, a new livery was applied. This was termed Executive and was designed to give Intercity a high profile. The marketing men were still not quite happy, and in April 1987, the first power car appeared in this very powerful and distinctive swallow livery. The new style lettering was also applied to the coaches. Intercity 125s are the main source of power on the western region, and services operate to all parts west from the capital. The first high-speed train to visit Devon and Cornwall was the prototype in 1975. It wasn't until October 1979 that a regular passenger service was introduced. The steep South Devon banks are notorious for causing delays to train services. However, with 4,500 horsepower available, the 125 makes light work of them. At this time, many formations were made up of mixed liveries. (1983) saw the reintroduction of the Cornish Riviera, with a time of 3 hours from Paddington to Plymouth and 4 hours 52 minutes to Penzance. In 1985, a high-speed run was set up from Paddington to Plymouth, and a journey time of 2 hours and 21 minutes resulted. This section of line on the Devon coast is probably one of the most scenic on the whole network. The days of 125s working alongside the Class 50s are now a thing of the past. South Wales was the first area to benefit from the 125s. The first revenue-earning service ran back in October 1976. The area is now served by 21 125s per day. Newport, Cardiff, Bridgend, Port Talbot, Swansea, Neath, Fishguard and Milford Haven all benefit from the 125s. Despite some heavy gradients on the outskirts of Newport, the fastest journey time from London to Cardiff is an impressive 1 hour, 46 minutes. The 30th of August 1984 saw a high-speed run from London to Bristol achieved in 1 hour and 33 seconds, a stunning start-to-stop average of 112.8 miles per hour. At the time, this was a new world record. The best normal service time is 1 hour and 12 minutes. In some areas of the network, the 125s are still controlled by manual signalling. These are the same signals that controlled steam locomotives in the 1950s. This unit is seen on the longest single 125 journey, the 825 Edinburgh to Penzance. This is the direct route from London to Plymouth and sees 18 125s a day. On the 26th of April 1983, Power Car 43113 received the name City of Newcastle upon Tyne. This was the start of a series of namings. This example was named in October 1987 and is seen here with the new style metal plates which were introduced to match the new Swallow livery. A total of 81 power cars have now been named. However, some no longer carry their original plates and are awaiting fitting of the new style metal plates. There's no doubt that the Western region has utilised the 125 to the full. The majority of all intercity trains running on the region are now in the capable hands of the 125. The introduction on the Midland Main Line took place on the 4th of October 1982. This example still carries the original style of nameplate. Sheffield is served by 17 125s a day from London, with the fastest journey time taking 2 hours and 15 minutes. By 1983, the patronage of the London to Nottingham services had increased by 33%. British Rail have worked out that the complete 125 fleet covers enough miles each day to circumnavigate the world 22 times. This is just one of 64 125s that pass through Leicester daily. .125s for the Midland services are supplied from the units allocated to the Eastern Region services. This set was one of the last to still retain blue coaches. The last blue power car had been repainted back in October 1987. The Midland services have benefited substantially from the introduction of the 125, with marked increases in passenger revenue. The decision to introduce 125s on this route has given this often forgotten line true intercity status. Keeping the large 125 fleet running requires careful planning and regular maintenance. Most repairs and examinations are carried out at local depots. Major repairs and overhauls necessitate a visit to the works. This example has been in the works for several weeks, receiving a major overhaul. All major components will be inspected and replaced as necessary. After being reunited with its bogies, this power car will receive a new coat of paint before returning to service. Once all the maintenance work has been completed, a test run is organised to iron out any problems. Frequently, two power cars are paired together for these tests. On arrival at their destinations, the 125s have their windscreens cleaned. A small but important job, especially when the driver's visibility is of prime importance at such high speeds. This unit is running as a 9-coach train due to the addition of the executive saloon. This coach was introduced in 1983 for the benefit of companies who wish to have the use of their own coach on normal service trains. On level ground, a 125 can accelerate from 0 to 100 miles per hour in 3 minutes and 34 seconds. During 1987, the first of 8 power cars were converted into driver van trailers to work with the new Class 91 electric locos. They were needed because the purpose-built DVTs and new Mark IV coaches were not completed in time for testing of the 91s to begin. These 125s had the lower balancing removed and buffers fitted. After all the testing was completed, these power cars re-entered normal service. During 1984, 20,442 125s passed through here. The 27th of September 1985 saw a special high-speed run from Newcastle to King's Cross. The journey took 2 hours, 19 minutes and 37 seconds, an average of 115.4 miles per hour, beating the previously mentioned Western Region world record. On the 1st of November 1987, a new world diesel speed record was set, when one unit reached 148.5 miles per hour. 125 daily availability on the East Coast Main Line averages at approximately 80%. And with each unit running an average of 240,000 miles a year, some of the early 125s have completed over 3 million miles in service. Up until the introduction of the electric services in 1991, 16 125s left Edinburgh for London daily, with the fastest journey taking 4.5 hours. Completing the last part of its journey in darkness, this is the Down Highland Chieftain from London to Inverness, a journey completed in just over 8 hours. Aberdeen first saw 125 services in 1979, and it, like all the places served on the East Coast route, has seen drastic improvements in journey times to London. The 125s soldier on, whatever the conditions, facing temperatures as low as -15, not surprisingly causes difficulties. This service was one of a handful that managed to work on this day. Due to the bad weather, a speed restriction of 70 miles per hour was enforced. This was the first train for over 3 hours at this normally bustling station. Fog can also cause problems. And in these conditions, the driver is very much reliant on his onboard automatic warning system. From midwinter to midsummer, extreme heat can also cause problems. And on the hottest day since the mid-70s, with temperatures of 100 degrees in the shade, this unit is struggling with coolant problems. The heat was also causing damage to the track, and a top speed of 70 miles an hour was in force. With the introduction of the electrics on the East Coast route, 125s are being cascaded onto other routes. The southern region now sees a number of 125s on services from the south coast to the north. The northeast-southwest services have also benefited, and this famous incline, despite its gradient of 1 in 38, causes few problems. Another service to benefit from the East Coast electrification is that from Euston to Holyhead. 3 trains in each direction are 125s. These services give a good opportunity to compare the 125s against the electrics that work this route. Surprisingly, they're evenly matched. After arrival at Euston, the units run empty to Old Oak Common Depot for servicing, before returning to Euston in time for their next duty. Engineering diversions occasionally take 125s off the beaten track, and in this instance, engineering work at Huntingdon was the reason. This train left the East Coast Main Line at Peterborough and will run via Cambridge before rejoining the main line at Hitchin. Hertfordshire Rail Tours operate a number of 125 specials each year, taking them well off the beaten track. This is the first 125 to visit Battersby, where it will reverse prior to running on to Whitby. These specials have become very popular and have taken 125s to areas they'd never normally visit. This Hertfordshire special is visiting the Yorkshire Dales. And finally, probably the most unusual location ever for a 125, North Norfolk. The 125s provided BR with an answer to the road and air competition of the 60s and 70s, and have given Intercity a new lease of life. They've undoubtedly been an outstanding success, and will be in service well into the 21st century.